Hello, my name is Katie. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm here today to talk about last year's reading goals, this year's reading goals, and then also to do a tag. So we're going to start with the tag. This is the reading goals tag. It was created by my good friend Rosie Koksha. I will link her original video in the description box and you should definitely go check her out. She reads a lot of interesting books. She reads some stuff that's similar to me, and then she reads some stuff that's like pretty far out there. She also has this series that I really love that is she'll read a book and then she'll review the book while baking something that has some way, shape, or form to do with the book, which I think is really cool. So definitely go check her out. The first question here is to tag some friends. Look, if you haven't done a goals video yet this year, maybe go ahead and wrap this tag in with it because I think it's fun. So first question, do you set reading goals? Why or why not? Yes, I do set reading goals, but only because of BookTube. Prior to BookTube, the only reading goals I would set were like for my Goodreads challenge. Now though I am using exclusively the story graph, it is what it is. I just prefer the formatting on the story graph. I like the idea of supporting somebody that's not Amazon. So yes, I set reading goals mainly just for BookTube though. It makes a good video, it's interesting, and then it helps kind of guide my reading through the year. Question 2, are your goals things that you absolutely aim to complete or more general themes you want to focus on? So this kind of depends on the goal. When it comes to the number of books or pages that I have set as a goal, those are things I absolutely want to complete. When it comes to, like last year I had a goal to read books and watch the movie adaptation. That was more just a general, like, keep in mind as you're doing things. But then I have other goals, like this year I have a specific goal to read Asian authors. And that is something I definitely want to complete. So it really just depends on what the goal is, whether or not I definitely want to complete exactly what I said, or whether it's just something to push me in that direction. Okay, next question. When in the year do you set new goals? Typically in January, or like I'll get them situated in December and start it in January, that kind of thing. But I noticed last year, somewhere around June, July, I kind of went and looked at my goals just to see how I was doing, and I did alter some things a little bit. So mainly in January, but then also at like the halfway point of the year, I'll reassess. Do you have any long-standing goals that you aim for every year? If yes, what are they? So really just my Goodreads goal, I think, has been like a long-standing goal that I aim for every year. Things are changing though since BookTube has become a part of my life. I am kind of dabbling in different types of goals and different long-term goals just to see what works for me, not only because it gives me something for content creation, but just because I feel like it's something fun that I can connect with other creators about. So yes and no. It's evolving right now. What type of goal has been the most successful by whatever metric you chose in the past? I mean, really, probably just the whatever my Goodreads goal has been the most successful. I usually blow that thing out of the water. Just because I set it low and attainable so that I don't stress myself out. I don't want to read because I want to hit a goal. I want to read because I enjoy it. And if I happen to hit a goal while I'm doing that, then cool. That's like bonus. So I guess as long as I'm reading and enjoying, I consider it a success. I'm trying to think though, because last year I had a goal to read from Indigenous authors, and I found some really good information, first off, and secondly, I found some really just incredible authors that way, so I guess that was a success as well. What type of goal has not gone to plan? What went wrong? Like I said, I'm still kind of new to this goal setting thing. I will say, the book to movie adaptation, like read the book, watch the movie thing, that didn't go very well. Just because I don't watch a lot of TV, and every time that I thought, like, oh, I should go find if there's a movie to watch based on this, I just didn't care. Like, personally, I'd rather listen to an audiobook than watch TV most of the time. So that didn't go very well. Maybe it was an unrealistic goal to set for myself, I'm not sure. And then I, almost every year, I tell myself I'm going to read more classics, but I don't get very specific about it. I just say I'm going to read more classics. Well, what the heck does more mean? Like, where's my baseline? So this year I'm not even using that as a goal. If I read classics, cool. If not, also fine. Do you change your goals based on how the last reading year has gone? Yeah. Definitely. I am 100% doing that this year. I have taken it kind of easy on myself. I only have a few goals for this year, and we'll get into those shortly, but I'm being more specific about it. And I'm also not overloading myself so that, like, I have to read one of this every month, and one of this every month, and one of this every month. Like, that's a lot, and I mood read mostly, so that kind of takes the fun out of it for me. So this year, I'm going to try to relax it a little bit. Do you track your reading goals? If so, how? I have a Google Sheets document. I actually have two for each year. I have one just for general reading stats that is kind of evolving. So I'll kind of track by like genre, age group, whatever. So I'll have YA, middle grade, fantasy, science fiction, mystery thriller, fiction, nonfiction, historical fiction, classics, and like DNFs. That I am thinking about changing up a little bit because I want to have more delineation, I guess. So I also want to have, is this a romance book? And if so, yes, but I don't actually necessarily want to have a whole tab for romance because I don't read a whole lot of romance. So I do know that I can like filter and things like that within Google Sheets. It's not as good as Excel, so I might switch to Excel this year. And then with my nonfiction, I want to split that up a little bit into biography, history, memoir, whatever. However, a lot of the times, like, biography and history definitely intersect, so I have to decide how I want to handle that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of spreadsheets. I'm a big fan of charts. If you've seen any of my wrap-ups, you know I do stats every month where I have, like, charts and stuff, which the story graph helpfully provides me with. But I do think I am going to make a few changes and start making a few of my own graphs for that as well. I've started adding a formatting aspect to it because the story graph has one, but it's a little bit tricky to figure out because you have to go dig for the correct formatting of the book that you mark as being read. And then I'm still not sure if that then also tracks the pages for that book because I don't think it does. So I think I'm just gonna kind of do my own on that one. Or maybe not, I don't know, I just have to decide what's more important to me, I think is what it's gonna boil down to. And the final question, has any of this changed a lot over the course of your reading life? Yeah, all of it. The only stable thing over the course of my reading life, and by this I mean like my adult reading life, not even my adult reading life, but since I was about 23 or 24 is when I started tracking my number of books read on Goodreads, or started tracking really in general at all. So since then, it kind of has evolved quite a bit. Specifically though, in the last year and a half or whatever it's been since I started BookTube, that's been changing a lot, and I feel like it's going to continue to change and evolve. I'm not sure I'll ever really find a sweet spot because I as a human am changing and evolving. But that's where we're at right now. Okay, so that was the reading goals tag. Like I said, if you haven't done a goals video yet and you want to add this in, or if you have but you think these questions are interesting, just go ahead, I tag you, make your own video. Okay, so reading goals. I thought maybe first we would recap 2021 and then get into new goals for 2022. So one of my goals was to read more translated works. I did really quite well with this, although two of them I did DNF. So Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, I DNF'd that, and then The Count of Monte Cristo I DNF'd, although I am going to try it again this year. But I read two books by Isabel Allende, A Long Petal of the Sea and Violeta, both translated from Spanish. I loved both of them. Excellent work. I do want to read more from Isabel Allende. I read The Widow Queen by Elżbieta Czerny. Oh my gosh. Okay, it was translated from Polish, and I'm really trying here. Then I read The Unwomanly Face of War by Svetlana Alexievich. That was translated from Russian. And then I read Stalin's Meteorologist, which was translated from French. Didn't care for that one as much, though. And then finally I read The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. This was translated from Swedish. So what I'm happy about here is not only did I have a good range, but I also had like one that was nonfiction. I had two that were nonfiction. I had a variety of genres in there. I had historical fiction, I had a thriller, so I'm pleased with that. There was, range in the languages too. They weren't all translated from Spanish or all translated from French, so I'm not mad. I think that one went pretty well. Then I wanted to have some rereads. I think in general I was thinking like 6 for all of these because that's how many slots I had I left for myself. And it looks like I read 6 that were rereads. So I have Through the Door by Jodi McIsaac. This was a reread from many, many years ago. I think I was about 19 or 20, 19? 20? Somewhere in there when I read it the first time. She's an indie author. You can find her stuff on Amazon. Is it the best written? No, but it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed my time with it. I'm very glad I revisited it this year. Then I reread both The Poppy War and The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I reread them because The Burning God came out this past year, and I wanted to review everything before I read the final book in the series. Both of those were fantastic rereads. I enjoyed them more the second time around than I did the first. I reread a graphic novel. I reread Lumberjanes Volume 1 by Noelle Stevenson, and then I think I got Volume 2 from the library because I enjoyed my time with it. I reread The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. I read this for the first time in January, and then I reread it this fall before I read book 2 in the series, and I will probably reread book 1 and 2 before I read book 3, whenever that comes out. And then I reread Leviathan Wakes by James S. A. Corey. I am doing a reread of the Expanse series, but all on audio, because the audiobooks are just so good. Okay, then I had classics. I don't read much classics, and this year was no different. I read Persuasion by Jane Austen at the beginning of the year. I attempted to read The Count of Monte Cristo. That did not go well. I read The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, which could be argued as to whether or not it's classic. I'm counting it. I read A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams, which is actually a play, but I enjoyed that a lot, so I might look into more Tennessee Williams this year. And then I read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, so not terribly bad there. I did 2 book-to-movie adaptations, both of them happened in December, kind of. So I read Dune in December, but I watched the movie first when it released. I actually went and saw it twice because I really enjoyed it. So then I finally read the book in December. This is terrible. And then I reread Leviathan Wakes in December, and I had kind of started a rewatch of the series because the final season is releasing as we speak. So I started rewatching, and so I'm counting it, even though it's not a movie, it's a TV show. It's the best that's gonna happen. So that didn't go so well. And then my final goal was to read from Indigenous authors this year, and I did pretty well here. So I read Split Tooth by Tanya Tagaq, The Removed by Brandon Hobson, and Indigenous Peoples' History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. Elatsoe, I I hated it last way. I'm sorry. But I did. Everybody talks about it like it's amazing, and I don't understand. Like, are we reading the same book? Because it was not for me. Then I read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Bouyer, and Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. If I had to pick a favorite from this list, I'm going to say Don't Make Me Do It, because I'm tied with 3. Betty, Firekeeper's Daughter, and An Indigenous People's History of the United States. All 3 of those were absolutely excellent. Okay, so those were last year's goals. And I'm not mad. I think I did pretty okay. I am changing things up for this year, though. So for this year, I have my normal Goodreads goals. Last year, I think I read 220 books, and I had originally set my goal for 52. So that's whatever. I ended up bumping it up to 150, and my pages goal was like 50,000. You'll see all this in my stats video, but yeah, I blew that out of the water. So this year, I think I have it set for 100 books and 50,000 pages. I don't anticipate a problem there. So my goal, first off, I am going to read The Count of Monte Cristo. Oh my God. I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. I understand it's an excellent book, but it is long, and I am intimidated, but it's going to happen this year. Secondly, I want to read books from Asian authors. Now, my Indigenous authors goal last year worked out really well, but this year I want to amp it up a little bit. I think I had only put down 6 for Indigenous authors, and I did more than that. I think I did like 7 or 8, something like that. But this year, I'm going to read 12, which is 1 book by an Asian author every single month. I don't think that should be a problem. If I can't find 12 books in an entire year by Asian authors that I am interested in, then there is something wrong with the publishing industry. So it's going to happen. My goal for nonfiction, last year I had a 25% nonfiction goal. I had 27% at the end of the year, so this year I want to read 30% nonfiction. We'll see. I hope I can do this, because I really do enjoy nonfiction. I want to put more emphasis on that. And then the other thing I want to make sure that at least 3 books every month are coming off of my physical TBR. Like the books that I own back there. I don't think that should be a problem. But I've been getting way into the library recently, and there are times when I have these books from my physical TBR that are on my like to be read per month list, and then I just don't read any of them because I'm getting stuff from the library. And like, what a waste. Okay, so those are my new goals for this year. I definitely kind of took a step back and did a few less things. I tried to keep things pretty attainable for myself while still trying to expand my current reads, like what I currently read. So I thought maybe I could get into some personal goals, and I will make sure I put timestamps in, so if you don't care, actually if you don't care, just bye. This is the end of the video for you. But I wanted to put some personal goals in because I want to hold myself accountable for, you know, my personal life as well. I think that's just as important, probably more important actually, than my reading goals. So here we go. If you don't know, I have a Peloton and I am a bit of an addict. So Peloton, pretty much seasonally, I think, they run a challenge to take a class every day. So I did it back in October, so I know I can do it, and I am starting out strong in January because I am participating again. It is 5 days into the month, and I have so far taken actually at least 2 classes every day for the month. So I'm pleased with that. I would like to repeat that in April, July, and October. So fingers crossed. They should, I assume, run those challenges roughly on that schedule. If not, I'm going to try to do it anyway. So that's a thing that I really want to do because I have been enjoying it so much. If you don't know, March of 2021, I had knee surgery, and the whole Peloton program, not even just the cycling, but the stretching classes and the strength classes, have been instrumental in getting my movement back and like getting my strength back so that I'm not in pain, and so that I can live my life normally again. So it's been great for the healing process, and I really want to keep going with that because I'm enjoying it. Another thing I want to do is kind of clean up my diet a little bit. I recently started feeling like my sugar addiction is running my life, and I don't like that. So I'm going to change that. So I have a plan to kind of eliminate these things from my life without just going cold turkey. So what I've done in January is I have selected 7 consecutive days, and for those 7 days I will not be having desserts. So chocolate, cakes, cookies, etc. I am still drinking my coffee. I am still drinking my soda. But the desserts are disappearing. And then the rest of the month I can pretty much do what I normally do. In February, I have selected 14 consecutive days, so 2 weeks, and I'm gonna cut the desserts out. March, I have 3 weeks, April's the whole month. Just because I want to know that I can do it, and I'm hoping that cutting back like this will make it a little bit easier, because you can do anything for a week, right? So then once you have that 1 week under your belt, you're like, well, I did it then, so let's challenge myself a little bit more. Let's add a second week. And then hopefully by the time we get through April, I will be in a position where I'm much better able to control the addiction, because let's face it, sugar is an addiction. So that's the plan for that. And then starting in May, I want to cut out my sodas. So I love cherry Coke. It is like my favorite beverage in the world ever. So starting in May, I'm going to start with the same process where I cut out the soda for a week. Then in June, 2 weeks, July, 3 weeks, August, we're going to go the whole month. And then after that, I'll start kind of bringing it back in moderation. So, yeah, I'm just curious to see how that's going to make me feel, how that's going to change my body, and honestly, especially with the soda thing, if I find that I'm feeling significantly better, I might just try to cut it out, period, for the rest of my life. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how things go, and I don't know if I'll check back in with you guys on this. Maybe. It depends on if I remember at, like, a mid-year point. Okay, so those are, like, fitness goals. I have set some financial goals for myself. If you don't set financial goals for yourself, I encourage you to try, even if it's just like one thing, because it really has changed so much in my life. So the first thing that I have set is I have 2 investment accounts that they're through like Acorns, right? So they invest for me. So I don't have to really monitor it very much. I have one that is for retirement, and I have one that is for future children. We do not currently have children. However, I would like to have an investment account there so that as they get older and they need things like braces, they want to go to camp, they want to play sports, they want to go to college, I have some funding for that to happen. So I have doubled my investment amounts in both accounts. I started out 3 or 4 years ago really small, because I wasn't sure how much I could handle. And then I've pretty much been doubling it every year. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be able to continue doubling it. It really just depends on where life takes us career-wise. But I've doubled that again. And then I have also kind of increased the amount that's just going into savings accounts, so liquid savings. Because at the end of this year, we had, it was one of those things where if we had had just one issue happen, we'd have been fine. But we had 3 issues back to back to back that like just compounded the financial issues. And I didn't have very much in liquid savings because I just feel like I should have my money in a place where it's making me more money. But that was a mistake. And so this year I'm going to rectify that so that if we have something like that again, we're going to be just fine. There will be no stress. So I've done that. And then another thing I want to do is I want to invest a little bit more in cryptocurrency. Bitcoin has been very good to me this year, and so I want to continue with that. And then the final list or item on my list is I want to start tackling like the smaller debts. Like, you know how you have those store cards and you just like put one item on there and then you just like pay it off slowly. I have a couple of those that I want to just pay off totally. We still have a little bit to pay on the Peloton. We financed a mattress this year. I want to pay that off quickly as well. So every month I'm going to pick one item and I'm going to try really hard to pay that off. This is including his student loans, which we did okay last year. And I want to do even better this year because I would like to not have student loan payments anymore. So those are the personal goals, and I'm sorry if you don't care, but I did warn you. You could have clicked out at any time. Anyway, go ahead, let me know in the comments, do you have any reading goals or personal goals that you would like to share so we can chat about them? I am always down to talk to you guys, you know this. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel in 2021. I really appreciate it, and I hope we can continue to be friends in 2022. Bye.